There it is. Wednesday, hump day, as they like to call it. Although technically not the hump day for this show, because Thursday is our last day. Thursday's when we hang up the hat, if you will. Just how I roll. I hope everybody is well. I hope everybody is doing wonderfully on this lovely Wednesday. I'm having a good one so far. Good morning, Karen. Good to see you. I hope all is well. I hope all is spectacular. We're going to jump right into it because we have a lot to talk about today. First of all, this is a bit breaking. And I haven't looked yet. I wanted to be surprised, although there's not really going to be much of a surprise here. But Vox announced who made the next Democratic debates and who did not. And this article is brought to us by Joe. And so I wanted to start there today. That's a little bit of breaking news for you. Who made it? Who didn't? Well, let's find out, shall we? I have a feeling there's not going to be a lot of surprises. I have a feeling there's going to be a certain amount of disappointment because this is what the establishment does. They try to get anti-war candidates off the stage as soon as they can. They try to get non-corporate candidates off the stage as soon as they can. That's kind of how it's always been, at least in my lifetime. And it doesn't look like things are any different. Now, an exception to this time around is Bernie Sanders. Bernie has built something so large that they can't cheat him that blatantly. They can't really get him off the debate stage because his following is too big. They will, of course, try to cheat him when it comes time to vote. Will we be big enough and loud enough? I don't know. Only time will tell. But right now, here's what's going on in regards to the next debate. It's the last day to qualify for the third Democratic debate. Here is who's missing out. 10 candidates have made the cut. And this was updated just several hours ago. This is breaking. Democrats aren't just letting anyone onto their presidential debate stage anymore. This is according to the article. Here's a question for you, Andrew, over at Vox. When were Democrats letting just anyone onto their presidential debate stage? When did that happen? When were our debates free and open in this country? Not just on the Democratic side, but just in general. When did that happen? Not in my lifetime, I can guarantee you. Or at least if it happened in my lifetime, I wasn't cognizant of it. Because I was not paying attention to politics. I was too young or whatever else. Certainly not. And as long as I've been paying attention to politics, that has not been the case. That we have some open and transparent debate process. I remember they made up the rules as they went along so they can get Dennis Kucinich off the stage in 2008 as soon as they could. So that they can get Ron Paul off that stage once it came time for the general as soon as they could. What do those two candidates have in common? Not a lot, except for one issue: war. They're both non-interventionists. They're both peace candidates. Got both of them off the stage as soon as possible. And there was a really famous there was a really famous comic that came out at the time where it just showed Dennis Kucinich and Ron Paul holding up peace signs, wondering why they were excluded from the debates. And then on the top of it, it said, MSNBC, we're owned by the people who make bombs. Because at the time, MSNBC was owned by General Electric, people who profit off of bombs. It's better now. They're just owned by Comcast now. They're a lot more integrity now. They got Comcast. All right, anyway, let's look at this article. So who made it, right? That's what we really want to know. All right, so currently just 10 candidates have qualified for September's third debate. Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg. You don't say his name right, Pete Buttigieg. Beto O'Rourke, stand on something, stand for nothing. Cory Booker, somehow qualified. Cory Booker forgets that he's running for president until another debate comes along. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm doing that. I totally spaced that, bro. I'm running for president. Oh, man. Let me get one of my college buddies to write a testimonial for me saying how awesome I would be. And then I'll look totally unprepared on the debates because all I'll have to say to any question is, well, Trump's terrible. Look, what Trump said some things, and I had a fun moment in front of the camera. They could ask, the debate question could be, hey, Cory Booker, what did you have for breakfast this morning? And he could say, I bet Trump ate something really unhealthy this morning. I bet Trump had KFC for breakfast. Isn't he bad? And then, like sheep, the audience will applaud. I'm not saying Trump's not terrible. Trump is terrible and repulsive. I'm saying Cory Booker has nothing to say and nothing to add for the conversation. He has probably never had an original thought go through his head ever in his life. He has no policy plan whatsoever. He is just a corporate tool. So all he brings to any debate, at least thus far, is, hey, Trump's bad. Trump's really bad. Trump said, hey, what did you have for lunch, Cory Booker? I bet Trump had something unhealthy. Hey, Cory Booker, what's your favorite hobby? I bet Trump sucks at tennis. And people will applaud. They'll be like, yeah, we can't argue with that. Cory Booker, he's somehow still around. Meanwhile, they kept Mike Gravel off the debate stage, an actual peace candidate. They managed to fudge the rules about what polls qualify and which ones don't. Because the DNC, Democratic is in their name, very ironically. They just get to make up the rules as they go along. All right, so Cory Booker, who I don't even think he knows that he's running for president. Can someone tweet him and remind him? In fact, you know what? I'll do it. I'll do it right now. We're going to tweet Cory Booker and remind him. So let's see. As long as he hasn't blocked me. All right, he hasn't. Hey, man, for whatever reason, you qualified for the next debate. So here, wait, ... So just wanted to remind you, you are, in fact, still running for president for some unknown reason. All right, we'll see if he tweets me back. There, I just let him know. I put the little dot so everybody can see the tweet. Cory Booker. I honestly, he doesn't know. All right, so anyway. All right, so who else made it? Cory Booker, Amy Klobuchar, Andrew Yang, and Julian Castro. All right. So the 11 other candidates in the field have all failed to meet the polling requirement imposed by the DNC because they get to cherry pick which polls do and don't count. The polling threshold proved more challenging. Tom Steyer, Tulsi Gabbard, and Marianne Williamson all met the donor requirement, but Steyer fell 1 poll short, Gabbard fell 2 polls short, and Marianne Williamson fell 3 polls short. All right. So then they go on in this article to talk about what qualifies for the Democratic debates. You know, first you have to have the polls that meet their threshold, the polls that they have given their seal of approval to. There's certain newspapers in cities that they don't meet the threshold. Cities, newspapers, their polls don't meet the threshold for whatever reason. Other media outlets, their polls don't meet the threshold for whatever reason. You have to have their the polls that the DNC gave their blessing to. You also have to find a candy bar with a golden ribbon in it. And by the way, the DNC distributes the candy bars at random. Also, you have to find a black cat before the black cat crosses the street. Lucy, do not let Tom Steyer find you. Go straight to Tulsi Gabbard's house. They know that she's not the DNC black cat, though. They know that. They're like, oh, no. No. That is not it. That's not the cat. That's not the cat. So there are the names, and this is breaking as of right now. Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, Beto O'Rourke, stand on something, stand for nothing. Cory Booker just found out he's running. Amy Klobuchar, Andrew Yang, Julian Castro. The others did not meet the polling requirements that the DNC makes up as they're going along. All right. Thank you for that, Joseph. This next story today comes to us from David. This is kind of crazy. This is kind of gross. We're going to switch over to some kind of funky news. Check out this headline. Venomous brown recluse spider removed from woman's left ear. Oh, man. So I used to live in Tennessee. I lived in Nashville, Tennessee. That is the capital of recluse spiders. And everybody was always really freaked out by them because a bite from one of them can be very brutal. Not all of them are as brutal as people make it out to be. Like people make it out like, oh, it'll like eat away your skin and then you're just a skeleton after a bite. It's not quite that severe. In most cases, you're going to be okay. But in some cases, they have proven to be fatal. It's not something you want to mess around with. When I lived in Nashville, Tennessee, I never left my clothes on the floor. Why, Ron? Well, because that's where the brown recluse spiders, they're called brown recluse spiders for a reason. They don't want to be around people. They're like the misanthropes of the spider community. They like to just be on their own. They just like their record player with their Harvey P. Card comics and jazz music, and they want to be left alone. They're like, I know I got a fierce bite, Daddy-O, but I don't want to use it. I don't want to use my fierce bite. That's brown recluse spiders. But if they're scared or they feel intimidated, well, then they'll bite you. They're like, look, you come into my territory. You try to take the needle off the vinyl, I will bite you. Don't take the needle off the vinyl, and the brown recluse spiders will not bite you. And actually, what that's a metaphor for, I said metaphor for, do that 5 times fast. What that really means is don't leave your clothes on the floor. Because here's the thing. They like to burrow in places. You're just burrowing animals, right, Lucy? They like to burrow. So they'll burrow like on your clothes on the floor. And then when you go to put the clothes on, let's say you're like, there's a shirt off the floor, whatever. It looks clean enough. You put it on. Well, now they're scared because they're close to a human. They don't want that. They're going to bite you. That's how most brown recluse spider bites happen. You got close to them. She's purring. Can you hear it? This brown recluse spider talk is soothing you. It's because I'm petting her. She had a nice morning, had a big breakfast. Right, Luce? All right. Anyway. All right. So here's the article. Somehow this got into a woman's ear. And this is freaky. Let's see what happened. I've not even like skimmed this article yet. I saw the headline. And I was like, oh, we're talking about it. This is nuts. All right. So a venomous brown recluse spider was removed from a woman's left ear. Here's something crazy. Check this out. The spider did not bite. The woman's name is Susie Torres, who woke up hearing a bunch of swooshing and water in my ear. Oh, my God. Dude, this is making me uncomfortable. We might need to bail on this early because it's just freaking me out, the thought of it. All right. A Kansas City woman woke one morning this week thinking she had water in her left ear. Oh, my God. It turned out to be a highly venomous brown recluse spider. There's going to be some people, this is going to be the first Get Your News On With Ron clip they ever watch. And they're going to be like, wow, is it always like, so he's seeing everything yes, that's the premise of the show. People tweet me the news and I'm going through it and we're seeing it for the first time. We're getting our news on together. So this is my first time reading through this. David tweeted this because he's like, I want to see if Ron vomits on the show. That's my goal. And I've met David in person. He came out to a show in New York. So David is testing me here. And David, challenge accepted. We're going to get through this. All right. Wow. All right. So she thought it was just water. By the way, I have a theory. Some of you have heard me talk about this on the show before. I don't think my ears have ever properly drained in my lifetime. I always just feel a little bit clogged. I've looked up methods on YouTube, like the natural draining methods that you can do where you like hold your nose and anyway. All right. So she thought it was just swooshing in water. Turns out. So here's the way she described it. It feels like when you went swimming. So she woke up, felt like she was swimming. Okay. When she went to get her ears checked, a medical assistant took a look, then ran out and said, I'm going to get a couple more people. All right, so you're in the doctor. You feel like you're underwater. You're like, what the hell's going on? Medical assistant goes, hey, we got to get some more people in here. You're freaking out already. Fortunately, she was able to go to the doctor, by the way. So anyway, the medical assistant then said, I think you have an insect in there. Oh, man. So it was a brown recluse spider about the size of the dime. A dime, that's what the way the article describes it. They had a few tools and worked their magic and got it out. The spider did not bite. The spider did not bite. Now, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the brown recluse, which is generally found in the U.S. South and the Midwest, Nashville, Tennessee, pretty much. Now, there is a lot of discrepancy out there. There is a lot of discrepancy out there over what is Nashville, Tennessee. Is Nashville, Tennessee the South? Is it the Midwest? That is the $1 million question, depending on who you ask. I feel like it's way more Midwestern than Southern. But it's got a little bit of both going on, and depending on who you ask, Nashville's the South or Nashville's the Midwest. Anyway, let's go through the article and see what else is going on here. So the brown recluse, generally found in the South and Midwest, cannot bite humans without some form of counterpressure, for example, through unintentional contact that traps the spider against the skin. Now, the venom of the brown recluse can cause a severe lesion by destroying skin tissue, which will require professional medical attention. You can look up those bites online. You can take a look at some of those bites. You can see pictures of it. Some gnarly stuff happens. And sometimes you can get fever-like symptoms. It's brutal. If this would have bitten her inside her ear, but chances are the brown recluse felt safe. I mean, again, they like to burrow. You can really burrow pretty solid inside somebody's eardrum. Right? All right, so let's see if there's anything else, like if they know how it happened. Now, they do bring up in 2018, another man almost lost his arm after being bitten by a brown recluse hiding in a fruit bowl. So again, they're hiding. Like, they don't want to be around humans. They're not they're not militant creatures, if you will. They like to just be left alone. They like to burrow. So they were hiding it. But sometimes they're like, oh, this is a good place to hide, somewhere where people are going to eat something. No, it's a really bad place to hide. They don't realize that, though. So now they got to bite somebody. Oh, man. So Torres, here we go. We'll go to the end here. Torres, that's the woman who got bit, told KHSB she was now taking precautions before going to bed. I went and put some cotton balls in my ear last night because I did not have any earplugs. I'm pretty terrified of spiders. So basically, it looks like it just climbed up into her ear hole while she was sleeping. Now, I feel like beds are generally not somewhere a brown recluse spider would kind of migrate to. Unless there was something in there where maybe she kept like piles of clothes on her bed. So the brown recluse spider would kind of feel like, oh, this is a good place to burrow. It seems like just a bed itself would not be somewhere they would really kind of migrate to. But now I'm terrified, and I want to make sure I never have anything on my bed, not even pajamas. I just keep my pajamas, which is basically just a t-shirt. Usually I wear a pair of boxer shorts and a t-shirt to bed. So it's basically just a t-shirt. My fiance has her pajamas, which is just shorts and a t-shirt as well. And then we each have our eye masks. I'm thinking maybe that's too much. Although Lucy hangs out on the bed right now. So if there were to be any brown recluse, which they're not very common to California, I don't really think they're in California much at all. But I guess you never know. In today's day and age, I guess you never know. Maybe. But they're probably really scared of you, Lucy. And you hang out on the bed all the time. So keep hanging out there. Keep it up. All right. So anyway, I'm glad the woman's okay. I'm glad they were able to get it out. I'm glad that I did not lose my breakfast from going through this story. And thank you, David, for sharing that. That is some gnarly news. All right. We're going to go to another piece of news here from Christina. And this brings us to our song of the day. The song of the day, we're going to go with a classic, but kind of a deep cut classic, if you will. The song of the day today is the song Teacher by Jethro Tull. You guys know I'm a big Jethro Tull fan. Amazing classic rock band. Really brought the flute into rock and roll via their frontman, Ian Anderson. We've talked Tull a little bit on the show before, but I'm a big Jethro Tull fan. I've been a Jethro Tull fan since I was 6 years old. My parents let me listen to Aqualung because my dad is a huge Jethro Tull fan, still is. He let me listen to Aqualung, and I just fell in love with that song. It's weird that a young child would fall in love with that song. That song is about a hobo, a homeless guy who's kind of living on the street, and they hint to him being a pedophile, or at least having pedophile-like intentions. He's eyeing little girls with bad intent. That's one of the lines in the song. Anyway, for whatever reason, 6-year-old me really connected with that tune, and still do. It's one of my favorite songs to this day. It's an amazing song. Big Tall fan. My favorite Jethro Tull song is Wind Up, but today's song of the day is Teacher. It's a deeper cut. It's off the Benefit album. Some copies of Benefit, one of their earlier albums, pre-Aqualung, did not even include the track Teacher. I think some of the early pressings. But generally, Benefit is known to have Teacher on it. And it's about a teacher. The dawn was coming, heard her ringing on my bell. She said, my name's the teacher. That is what I call myself. And I have a lesson that I must impart to you. It's an old expression, but I must insist, Lucy, that it's true. It's a great track. A little bit of psych rock going on in that track. A little bit of bluesy, typical Jethro Tull bluesy twang going on, with a little bit of psych rock going on, and a little bit of what would later be defined as progressive art rock. Gotta love Jethro Tull. And the reason Teacher is the song of the day, other than it's a great tune that you should check out, and if it's your first introduction to Jethro Tull, it's a good one, because this article from Christina pertains to teachers. Thank you for sharing this, Christina. And we're going to go over to Illinois right now, and let's see what's going on. Governor Pritzker over in Illinois signs a bill raising the minimum teacher salary to $40,000. So some teachers in Illinois will see their pay go up. Governor Pritzker signed legislation raising. All right. I'm seeing all these articles for the first time, folks. I flub words. They're raising teachers' minimum salary to $40,000. The goal is to address a shortage of teachers across the state. As Illinois children head back to school this week and next, this new law says to them and their parents loud and clear, we value teachers. In signing this legislation, we're addressing our teacher shortage and gradually putting teachers on track to make at least $40,000 a year by the first day of school in 2023. So this is not immediate. This is a little bit gradual. To teachers all across Illinois, I see the care and compassion you put into your work, and I'm proud to help make sure you earn what you're worth. So this is still not quite enough. This is good news that they're addressing the very low salaries of teachers, and they're doing something about it. Is this enough? Not quite. But this is something. How do you not value teachers? I mean, it's unbelievable that we have teachers in this country who are working multiple jobs. I mean, it's one thing if like teachers want to get a side summer gig for a little extra income. You know, I know some teachers over the years, they do landscaping in the summer. They enjoy it. It keeps them outdoor. A good buddy of mine, one of my best friends in the whole world, he's a teacher in Baltimore. He does landscaping in the summer, and he's like, look, it keeps me in shape, and it helps us save up some money for vacation, you know, and I enjoy it. You know, it keeps me busy. I like to be outdoors. Something like that's fine. But when you see teachers, they have to drive Lyft and Uber to get by. There was that story. I forget what city it was in. It's not really important, but there was I think it happened in the Midwest or the Southeast. Am I boring you, Lucy? Are you yawning right in my face? Everybody's a critic. Everybody's a critic. The cat just yawned right in my face and then stretched. She's like, you can pet me and talk at the same time. If you don't want to do that, well, then quite frankly, sir, you bore me. That's what the cat's saying. Anyway. So there was a teacher where she had to be a server at night because her salary was not enough for her to survive. Single woman, too, by the way. It's not like she had some family and she was the only income or she was a single parent. She was just a single person. And she had to still be a server at night to make ends meet. And one of her students was there. She ended up waiting on one of her students who was there with their family. Then their teachers just, hey, I'm serving you food. Like, and the student said to her, you must be rich. You have all these jobs. Let's keep that student sheltered from the real world as long as we can. Really, let's just. And the teacher just said, I sure am. You know, you just want to. You don't want to say, well, actually, young student, they pay us poverty wages because they don't value our work, because they don't really value your future. They don't even care if you have a planet to live on or not. So I don't get paid fairly for what I do. Teachers should get paid enough money so that it is their only job for the entire year. If they get summers off, I don't care. Doesn't matter. They do a job that involves teaching our children, and their job doesn't end when they enter the classroom and then when they leave it. It doesn't start and end then. They do prep. They do office hours. They do meetings with parents. They do a lot of work outside the classroom. And in the summer, they should be able to have some breathing room, first of all. And second of all, they should be able to do different things to aid in them being a better teacher. They should be able to take workshops somewhere if they want to. They should be able to take an extension class. They should be able to, hey, if they want to, they should be able to just go to the library with their library card and make a new reading list. There's so many things they could do to enhance themselves as teachers. That's what they should be doing during their summer vacations, not working multiple jobs to get by. So I'm glad it's at least going to be a minimum of 40,000, and I hope that 40,000 is going to be on the lower end in places in Illinois that have a lower cost of living, not places like Chicago. I'm glad this is happening. Is it enough? No. It's nowhere near enough. But is it at least addressing a horrible situation that needs to be addressed? Yes. It's amazing how little we value teachers. It's amazing. They're teaching our children. They're responsible for children. They're responsible for the future of our world. How do you not value that? And I get it, a teacher's not going to have the same salary as a heart surgeon or something like that. That's fine. Yeah, I get that. But to not even pay teachers a living wage, when you hear stories about adjunct teachers at major universities dying in poverty and homeless, that literally happened. Where did that happen? That actually happened where I went to grad school, Duquesne University. It was going on while I was there. I didn't know about it. It was going on when I was there. I read about it later. I was gone from the institution when that happened because they didn't find out about it till she died. She was an adjunct French teacher, taught there for about 30 years. She lived in a car. And again, I used to adjunct myself. I got paid more money to go and perform at a college than I did to teach at one for an entire semester, performing at one college. And college performers are not overpaid. Teachers are grossly underpaid. That's the moral of the story there. So I'm glad Illinois is doing something. It's not quite enough, but you got to start somewhere. And I'm glad that they're at least doing something. And guys, we got some striking news. So here's some news from Tim. Tim, thank you for sharing this. By the way, we'll be coming to New Mexico, Tim, next year. I know Tim's based in New Mexico. Graham Out and myself will be coming to New Mexico in 2020. Working on it now, actually. So we're going to go over to the World Socialist website here. Auto workers vote to strike. They denounced the UAW treachery ahead of contract deadline with GM, Ford, and Chrysler. American auto workers are voting by lopsided margins to authorize strike action in an expression of their determination to reverse 4 decades of concessions engineered by GM, Ford, and Fiat Chrysler and the United Automobile Workers co-conspirators. Voting continues at plants throughout the country today and Wednesday. But the results at plants that have already voted have been nearly unanimous in favor of a strike. For Nissan, all the plants around the world are unionized except for a couple. You know where those are? The United States. Those are the only plants not unionized. And you know what happens when they've been going on strike in other places? They've been getting what they want. So now, finally, the strikes are coming stateside. Because strikes are contagious. Hey, look at what just happened in Illinois. You know what's been happening all over the country about a year prior? Teachers have been striking. Teachers have been striking in Oklahoma. Some teachers have been striking in Illinois. They've been striking in Indiana. They've been striking in West Virginia. They've been striking in California. And they've been getting what they should be getting. Not quite everything in most cases, but they've been getting enough that they can justify ending the strike at least. Well, now the auto workers are noticing. You don't hear about strikes very often in the corporate media. Why? Because strikes, much like the common cold, are very, very contagious. When people see strikes working, they think maybe we should do that. That's why it happens in other countries more often, because people actually hear about it. And then they do it. And then what happens? They get what they want. But here in the United States, it is set up by design to prevent that from happening. First, you put people in a situation where they're not making living wages, so they're scared to strike because they're one paycheck away from losing their apartment, or they're one paycheck away from not being able to get their medicine or put food on the table for their family. And the second thing you do is you have a media who's silent about it. You have a media who, if they do report on the strike, they marginalize it and they try to render it useless. It's not useless. It's not useless if everyone in this country stood up and said, we ain't going to help this wheel turn anymore until you give us what we deserve. Powers that be. So let's see what else is going on. It looks like they're in the preliminary stages right now. So workers at the Ford Rouge complex in Dearborn spoke with reporters from the World Socialist website Auto Worker Newsletter over the weekend. Teams visited the Dearborn truck plant. Many were angered by the lack of information coming from the UAW just days before contract expiration. Moreover, workers are anticipating that the new agreement will contain a massive attack on medical benefits, which has long been in the crosshairs. So you're working a job where you're on an auto line. You're working a job where injuries are certainly very possible, and they do happen regularly. And what does your employer go after on a regular basis? Your medical benefits. Your medical benefits. According to this article, that's something that's regularly in the crosshairs. Medical benefits. They want to reduce them. So workers are finally standing up and they're saying, we've had enough. We have had enough. So it looks like this is very fresh stress. Well, it's stressful too for everybody involved. It's very stressful. But it looks like a strike is coming. It looks like a strike is coming. This article is from yesterday. And we should know more today as well. So this is breaking. But an auto strike is coming, as it should. And kudos to those workers. And I wish them all the best. All right, Tim, thank you for sharing. We'll keep an eye on this story as it unfolds because you're not going to hear about it anywhere else. This is where you want to hear about what's going on with strikes in this country. You need to go to shows that involve a comedian who people tweet him the news and he sits at a desk with his cat and streams a show from his living room. Those are the types of shows you have to go to hear about strikes because the corporate media, they ain't talking about it. They are not talking about it. So we got one more thing that I wanted to go to for today, and then I'll go see what you guys are saying in the chat. At 11:30 Pacific time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, we are going to have a guest. That's why we're going to end a little bit early because I got a guest that I need to prep for. It's going to be Mark from Demand Progress, and we're going to be talking about the net neutrality pledge that candidates can take upcoming in 2020. He is on the ground floor with Demand Progress, pushing this pledge forward. We're going to hear about who signed on so far, how you can pressure your elected officials to sign on. This pledge basically pledges that you are going to be committed, you, the elected official, are going to be committed to a free and open internet, and you're going to reinstate net neutrality. Net neutrality, we lost it under Trump's FCC, under Ajit Pai. And if we don't get it back, we've been fighting it tooth and nail. If we don't get it back, though, the free and open internet as we know it is going to cease to exist. That is not an embellishment. That is exactly what will happen. They will take the medium, they will transform it into cable television 2.0. I know it's hard to imagine because we've never seen it. Do you think people who grew up with radio ever saw what happened in 1996 happening? Do you think they ever foresaw that just a small handful of companies would own every radio station? Do you think people involved with public television ever foresaw what ended up happening in television happening? Probably not. It can happen. And once we lose a medium, we don't get back. All right, are we back? Hello. All right, we're back. All right, cool. What's up, everybody? That is really annoying. Really annoying is what that is. All right, sorry about that. All right, let's see here. Ron cannot be stopped, indeed. All right, so we're back, and we're just gonna. All my settings are completely gone, so we're just gonna regroup at 11:30 Pacific time, 2:30 Eastern time, because I have a guest coming up. So guys, in the meantime, you know the drill. Tour dates, I got them next week. I'm in the Upper Midwest with Graham Elwood. Get your tickets now. September 4th, Omaha, Nebraska. September 5th, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. September 6th, Madison, Wisconsin. September 7th, Minneapolis, Minnesota. September 8th, Iowa City, Iowa. November, we're going to Australia, Perth, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide. Get your tickets now at ronplacone.com. If you want to support this show on the sustainability end, please do consider becoming a patron. Patreon.com/ronplacone for a give what you can level. You get all kinds of exclusive content, including my album, and you help me expand this show. I want to do more streams. I want to not freeze ever, even though I'm wired in and pay for the best internet that one can buy. I guess it just happens sometimes anyway. I don't know. I don't know what happened there. It just all of a sudden we froze. Yeah, I don't know why that happened. But anyway, Lucy, why did it happen? Why did it freeze? I don't know why. So anyway, we'll be back in about an hour. With Mark from Demand Progress. They're going to be talking about net neutrality. Hopefully we're allowed to talk about that and it doesn't freeze. Shouldn't jinx myself. But we'll be back with Mark from Demand Progress. We'll be talking about net neutrality. That's coming up at 11:30 Pacific time, 2:30 Eastern time. So I'll see some of you in about an hour. Everybody else, I will see you tomorrow, same time, same channel, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, right here. And in the meantime, you know the drill. Lucy says meow. I say peace. Peace.